flashback of Amo's life story unfolds. As a child, her mother introduced her to a man who claimed he would love her forever. The girl, innocent and naive, found this idea beautiful, but did not realize that her mother was selling her to a pedophile. The man took her to a castle where she still resides and showered her with gifts. As she grew older, he told her that he obtained these gifts from his job. He was both a trafficker and a giver, yet people consistently mistreated him, labeling him as creepy. He wanted to engage in their usual ritual to calm down. Just as Amo was about to say that she didn't want to participate anymore because her heart raced and she struggled to catch her breath, he told her that was a sign of love. Once again, Amo's mind played tricks on her, filtering out all the negative experiences she faced. After completing their ritual, two masked individuals suddenly opened the door to the room. One of them was wearing the same mask that Regto's killer had used. The creepy man attempted to defend himself with his prized boots, which Amo now wears. However, he was no match for the intruders, who quickly overpowered him. One of the intruders handed the boots to Amo, telling her that they suited her better and that she should keep them until the right moment. Then they sprouted wings and flew away like angels. Amo was captivated by the sight and momentarily forgot that the creepy man had just taken a beating. When he saw her holding his instrument, he became enraged and started kicking her in the face. The last thing we see is Amo's fierce expression as she declares that no one else can have the boots. Just then, Rudo arrives to apologize and hears the rest of her story. The creepy man is astonished to see that the boots are reacting to the girl, and Amo insists that this proves they belong to her. As their argument intensified, they began to physically fight one another. In the midst of the struggle, Amo accidentally pushed the man out of the castle, and he fell to his death. With that, the boots became hers alone. As her story concludes, the cleaners inquire about the angel. However, she is not very helpful. She doesn't know how he crossed the border or where he landed. Despite everything, she claims she saw him again a month earlier, right when Rudo went to the ground. As the boy approaches her to talk, he notices she is drawing the angel, which has the same mask as his foster father's killer. This sends Rudo spiraling back into madness. He envisions the angel and their partner, beaten and bleeding on the floor next to Regto's grave. Just as his thoughts begin to turn even more disturbing, Amo speaks to him. She states that they are the same. The instruments they use fit those who feel incomplete. The boots helped her feel more human and helped her realize what the creepy man had done to her. After that experience, she kept trying to connect with people, but it never worked out. That's why she isn't angry with Rudo. She understands that everyone struggles with this and often resorts to violence instead of forming true connections. In response, Rudo suggests they learn how to connect with others together. He extends his hand in a gesture of friendship, and the girl smiles at him. They leave the castle, and Amo decides to stay behind to sort some things out. Rudo assures her that he will keep in touch, which makes her happy. However, that happiness is short-lived. As she closes her door, contemplating a sleepover for next time, someone appears behind her. We only hear her screams, and later, we see Jabber emerging from the desert. The raiders' leader stood up and declared that it's time to begin. The group is discussing their injuries. Gremlin's healing abilities can only mend fatal damage, so some members are still suffering from other attacks. To help, Engine takes them to Alice Stilsa. When they arrive at her office, it is revealed that she is the grandmother of August and Ishia. After some time, Ishia and Alice manage to heal everyone. Before they leave, August reminds them to be cautious around the cloud. Rudo doesn't understand what that is, so they explain. Sometimes the sphere shifts, causing more trash to fall to the ground, which creates what seems like a trash storm. While trying to protect themselves from it, Rudo mentions that he feels like he saw something when he crossed the border, but he can't remember what it was. Suddenly, Engine receives a call from Semu. She informs him that they are almost at the cleaner's headquarters and advises him to enter through the back. They are currently dealing with some pests, a group of marauders. The bandits are armed and are threatening Semu in front of the gate, demanding the spherite. Then, they fire a bazooka, hitting the building. After that, the group acts all high and mighty, but they soon realize that their attack didn't have any effect. This is because the cleaners have a gifter who creates a barrier that protects the location. Semu opens the front door and mocks them. One of the marauders fires a bazooka at her, but things don't go as he expected. Thanks to her vital instrument, she not only avoids the rocket but also catches it and sends it back in their direction. While dodging a storm of bullets, she effortlessly avoids all their attacks and knocks them out one by one. Engine and the others arrive just in time to see her standing over the pile of bodies. Meanwhile, the cleaners learn from the marauders that someone disclosed information about the spherite at a local bar. They decide to investigate, hoping to uncover more details. Their best guess is that the raiders are behind this, likely to gather information on HQ's defenses in preparation for an attack. Despite the serious nature of their conversation, they are casually eating and laughing. Rudo can't believe they are so carefree after what happened and insists that they should remain on alert. After a few minutes, 3 other cleaners arrive to assist with their mission. They are Gita, Hebi, and Fantasia, a girl dressed in dinosaur-themed pajamas along with Dear Santa, the girl who previously stole candy from Rudo. Their leader, Santa Bro, is also present. As Rudo quietly complains about the cleaner's attitude, a man wearing a hood approaches him. He asks Rudo if someone is pursuing them and warns him to be cautious of the raiders. The man mentions that since the raiders have a new boss, they will go to any lengths to get what they want. Suddenly, he recalls what the raiders are after and produces a pair of Amo's shoes. Rudo is left speechless as the man removes his hood, introducing himself as the leader of the raiders. Another member of the group, also wearing a hood, takes it off to reveal themselves as Chthoni. Rudo and the other cleaners leap into action to attack her, but it's too late. Chthoni uses her powerful instrument to open a portal that captures all of them. The only ones left behind are the supporters, who couldn't reach the portal in time. When the cleaners open their eyes, they find themselves in a place filled with manholes that resembles a sewer. In front of them stand the raiders, including familiar faces like Jabber, along with some new members as both groups face each other, and Rudo asks them where Amo is. Engine criticizes the raiders for their poor attempt to capture Rudo, noting that they brought some unexpected complications with them. However, their boss claims he had foreseen this eventuality. Suddenly, as he checks his clock, a wave of debris overwhelms the area and sends all the cleaners into a hole. The only one left behind is Rudo, as the enemy boss grabs him just in time. As Zanka and the others are engulfed by the trash, Engine attempts to go with the flow. Soon he encounters a bifurcation, forcing him to split up from his teammate. Meanwhile, several portals open behind the raiders, and each of them enters a different one. Jabber taunts Rudo, advising him to play nice with their boss while they entertain themselves with his friends. After that, the enemy boss introduces himself as Zodal Typhon. He proposes a collaboration with Rudo to destroy the sphere together. Although he has never seen the place, he is confident that he and Rudo share the same vision. Despite this connection, Rudo tries to brush it aside and asks Zodal about Amo once more. He insists that the enemy should stop changing the subject, but Zodal argues that Rudo is the one doing just that. Zodal points out that he was asked a question and should respond. Rudo then compares Zodal to Amo. However, he found it difficult to deal with Amo because she wouldn't talk to him. With Zodal, the challenge is that he ensnares Rudo with his words. After a while, Zodal breaks the silence and asks Rudo why he joined the cleaners. When he notices that Rudo only wants to return to the sphere, Zodal questions whether he is satisfied working with people who do not share the same objective. Meanwhile, Ryu wakes up underground after the flood of trash and realizes that one of the raiders is with her. She soon understands that the enemies have split up the cleaners, with each one pursuing a different opponent. Additionally, we learn that Jabber is once again facing Zanka. As Jabber rushes to attack Zanka, the cleaner focuses on one goal: kill or be killed. They engage in a fierce battle that remains evenly matched until Jabber suddenly stops. He notices a bubbly puddle of green liquid on the ground. When he touches it, he burns his hand, but soon realizes that his gloves are starting to mimic the same fluid. This is one of his unique abilities. If he comes into contact with a new toxin, he can reproduce it with his claws. Afterward, he splashes the liquid at Zanka and challenges him to avoid it. However, Zanka doesn't even make an attempt to dodge. He raises the ground in front of him, blocking most of the attack, though some debris still hits him. With a lifeless expression, he throws a rock and buries the raider beneath it. Meanwhile, Engine calls out to his opponent, who is hiding behind some trash and only stares back at him. Elsewhere, Bro and Dear Santa confront a raider dressed like a cowboy. The man declares that they can't use the chokers underground, so they won't be receiving any assistance. Ryu realizes this but doesn't seem overly concerned. Her opponent, Noerd, takes out a hair comb and begins using it, which helps Ryu deduce that if Noerd's instrument is a comb, her abilities likely involve her hair. Ryu then mocks Nord, claiming she has the advantage with her scissors. The scene shifts to Zanka, who is unsure whether he truly defeated Jabber. He is correct in thinking he didn't actually harm his opponent. Jabber's gloves transformed into an enormous version of themselves, which he used to create a barrier around himself. Jabber is ecstatic, expressing that it's rare for people to uncover his true self. Meanwhile, Zanka is still in shock, unable to believe that his opponent wasn't fighting with full strength before. Ryu isn't having much luck either. We find her collapsed on the floor. It turns out that Norda's comb generates static electricity, giving her hair an electric charge. The raider then mocks Ryu by echoing her own words, claiming that her ability is not a good match for the scissors. Thoni uses her portals to observe and take notes on what everyone is doing. She is taken aback by Bro's conversation with his ally. Initially, Bro is having a seemingly normal discussion with the man, talking about deer and other everyday topics. However, the enemy then introduces himself as Bundus and immediately gets down to business. Bundus only joined the raiders to achieve his objectives. One of his goals is to obtain information, so he tells Bro that if he provides it, he will reveal the raiders' plan. When Bro agrees, Bundus mentions that he wants to know more about the cleaner's boss, Arca Corvus. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Corvus, who has just learned that some of the cleaners have gone missing. Semu advises him to gather more personnel for assistance and reprimands him for not wearing his choker. Still very calm, Corvus mentions that he knows a reliable information broker, so he is confident he will find out where his teammates are. Meanwhile, Bundus asks Bro a series of questions about Corvus, but the content surprises the cleaner. His enemy is only inquiring about normal things, such as Corvus's likes, his age, and similar topics. Bro is unsure why he wants to know this information, but decides to answer nonetheless. In return, Bundus reveals that the raiders have been creating their own trash beasts and plan to feed the cleaners to these monsters. Bro feels thrilled to have obtained such valuable information for a small price. However, Bundus points out that his own information is also significant. Not only does it make Corvus seem more human, but it also shows that the boss conceals his true self from his teammates. Zodal tells Rudo that after his fight with Jabber, the raider mentioned they had the same smell. This similarity is what intrigued him about the spherite. Now Zodal realizes they also share the same look in their eyes. Frustrated, Rudo lashes out at Zodal, yelling that he could have spoken to him like a normal person instead of starting a fight and involving the cleaners. Zodal, however, overpowers him with his words. He points out that even in the ground, some individuals view the garbage dropped by the sphere as gifts from God. Despite the fact that this waste can cause destruction and death, some people still regard it as something sacred. What seems strange to some can easily become accepted as common sense by others. Unfortunately, the common sense shaped by the corrupt can only lead to harmful outcomes. For him, the only way to truly free someone from their burdens is through a shock to the system. This jolt can bring a person's true essence to the surface, as it did for Rudo during his fight with Jabber. He then brings up Zanka. Will Zanka experience a similar transformation now that he is facing Jabber again? Or will the shock prove too overwhelming for him to handle? The anime resumes with the intense battle between Zanka and Jabber. Zanka is giving everything he has to evade the raiders' attacks. Meanwhile, Jabber is just as unpredictable as ever, but he's significantly stronger and fighting with more strategy. Suddenly, Jabber begins to spin, transforming into a sort of poisonous tornado. Even when Zanka manages to find an opening to strike, Jabber surprisingly halts his own attack and delivers a powerful kick to Zanka's gut. With Zanka on the ground, Jabber jumps on top of him, trying to pierce his opponent's face with his claws. However, Zanka stops him, clamping down with his teeth and demonstrating that he still has plenty of fight left in him. Jabber is taken aback, but the cleaner takes advantage of the moment, breaking one of Jabber's ribs and striking him in the same spot again. From that point forward, Zanka gains the upper hand in the fight and begins to overwhelm Jabber. However, that quickly proves to be insufficient. After surprising Zanka and delivering a kick, Jabber still manages to slash his legs. Zanka falls to the ground. Jabber then stands up and reveals that he is holding 3 toxins in his claws, one that causes numbness, another that induces euphoria, and the goo from earlier. Following this, he perforates Zanka. Flashback reveals Zanka's past, telling the story of his life before he became a cleaner. He was trained to be a Hellguard, a soldier assigned to protect the ground. However, unlike the cleaners, Hellguards deal with people rather than trash beasts. At school, students envied Zanka. His whole family was part of the Hellguard, and he was the top student in his class. They believed it was only natural that he would follow in their footsteps. In their eyes, they saw themselves as mediocre, while Zanka stood out as the talented one. Surprisingly, the boy agreed with them. He was different from how he is now. He saw himself as a cut above the rest. Although he would always put in a lot of effort, he believed himself to be talented. However, that was when, in his words, the real deal showed up. His teacher brought in a white-haired girl from the slums, saying he had high hopes for her. And she quickly proved him right. In her first sparring session, a girl named Hyo defeated the entire class, including Zanka. While most of the students came up with petty excuses to explain their losses, Zanka recognized her talent and told them she was amazing. As his classmates stared at him in awe, he calmly suggested that he should train more. However, that was just a facade. When he went to drink water, he tightened his grip and bit down on his lips so hard that it started to bleed. He couldn't shake the memory of the fight from his mind. Hyo had overwhelmed him and defeated him effortlessly, no matter what he tried. Zanka slammed his head against the wall, vowing to train harder and become the best. Suddenly, a girl appeared behind him, intensifying his frustration. She asked him about the Golden Throne, a symbol of being the top student and securing a spot in the Hellguard. No matter how much he praised its value, she just couldn't understand its significance. Soon, they had a class where they had to choose their main weapon. That was when Zanka first noticed his love stick. 3 days later, while walking through the city, Enjin and Ryo found him hiding in a hole. Zanka assumed that Hyo would choose the strongest-looking weapon, like everyone else did, so he decided to pick a weaker one to confront him. However, the girl chose a regular sword. To make matters worse, the stick wasn't even supposed to be on the weapons table. It was placed there by mistake. Everyone looked at him, dumbfounded, and his teacher's expression was filled with disgust. Zanka shouted about how lame and mediocre he was, but it was Enjin who reminded him that he could defy natural talent. Despite his harsh words, he continued to hold the stick. Enjin mentioned that he would return to the city in the future and expressed his desire to see Zanka prove that he can defeat the real deal. Minutes later, Zanka crawled out of the hole, demonstrating that he still had fight left in him. The scene then shifts back to the battle, where Zanka gets up after taking a hit from Jabber. Although he is bleeding profusely, he calls out to his vital instrument and prepares for another round. However, that's just a hallucination. Jabber injected him with a toxin that creates believable illusions, so the cleaner didn't actually get up. Jabber sees Zanka laughing while under the influence of the hallucination and imagines that he is having a great time. In response, he starts maniacally laughing along with Zanka. Gita escapes from her previous location, but she still feels alone. While exploring her new surroundings, she comes across a large glowing red rock that has torn hands and knives pierced into it. At that moment, Jabber captures Zanka and starts dragging him toward the cave exit. He states that he must offer Zanka to the trash beast now. As Jabber celebrates his victory, he suddenly gets shot in the leg. Enjin hears the gunshot from a distance, but can't check on Jabber yet because he still has to defeat his opponent, Fu. However, their fight hasn't even begun. Fu panics, having never started a fight before, but he is determined not to be the last one to finish his. After all, Zodal will be angry with him if he is. In a moment of cowardice, Fu steps forward and asks Enjin to punch him first. The cleaner, wearing a wicked smile, responds with a firm no. The scene then goes back in time to show Ryu's duel. She creates wind by swinging her scissors, which helps her deflect Noerda's hair. As she observes her enemy, she realizes something and hides in the trash. Furious, Noerda unleashes all her electricity. Ryu smiles, having confirmed her theory. Noerde needs to recharge her hair, which gives the cleaner more opportunities to attack. It won't be easy, though. Ryu jumps into attack, but Nerd easily evades her. After extensive training and years of having long hair, she has learned to move it as if it were an extra limb. They begin fighting without weapons, occasionally using their instruments in an attempt to gain the upper hand. Their battle is intense, causing significant destruction to the surroundings. However, it is clear that Nord has the advantage. Both women are injured, but Ryu is coughing up a significant amount of blood. She asks if anyone will hear any noise coming from down there. Norde interprets this as a plea for help, but she is mistaken. Suddenly, Ryu pulls out a gun and shoots Norda twice. Norda bleeds out on the floor while Ryu continues to point the gun at her. Ryu was once a professional assassin, but she left that life behind and joined the cleaners. Although she promised Enjin that she would never kill again, she still keeps her gun. However, she has made it clear that she will not harm Norda. The scene then returns to the present. Ryu knows that Jabber can withstand a lot of damage, so she shoots him several times, nearly leaving him for dead. Afterwards, she confirms that Zanka is alive and makes her escape. Meanwhile, Chthoni is updating Zodal on everything that's happening. He is surprised by the strength of the cleaners and tells her to proceed with the plan. She then teleports him and Rudo to the location of the red stone. Fantasia watches in fear, unnoticed, as Zodal explains his plan to Rudo. He touches the stone with his boots, and it responds to them. He then reveals that his coat is part of the Watchmen series and that he attempted to create new entries for it. Zodal explains his plan to attack the sphere. When he touches the red stone with Amo's boots, the stone resonates, creating tentacle-like projections that reach up to the roof. While experimenting with vital instruments in his attempt to create new entries for the Watchmen series, Zodal made an important discovery. He realized he could use these instruments to develop a new type of trash beast. Although his main objective failed, he still gained a powerful weapon. Rudo recalls the beast he fought alongside Rio, but Zodal interrupts his thoughts. Zodal tells them they are about to fly to the sphere, and the scene shifts to reveal that they are inside a gigantic winged monster. One day, when Rudo was a child, he had a fever dream where everyone was cursing his father, claiming that Rudo would turn out just like him. Even Regto, someone he looked up to, had said the same thing. This nightmare was triggered by pain in the boy's hands. The next day, Regto decided to give Rudo the gloves. As he handed them over, Rudo noticed that Regto had a book with the same symbol, indicating it was part of the Watchmen series. Rudo was shocked to discover that there were more items like his gloves and Amo's boots in existence. This revelation left him wondering how Regto had come to possess such a unique item. Zodal finds it peculiar that Rudo was on the sphere, yet seemed unaware of the vital instruments he possessed. More surprisingly, Rudo didn't lose his sanity while using one. Typically, most people go mad after prolonged use of these instruments, as they have sacrificed a part of their humanity. As Zodal contemplates this, a childlike figure emerges from nowhere, revealing glimpses of the man's past. He then unleashes his aura and tells Rudo that he must learn what someone with all the entries in the series can do. He reveals that their fight is part of another experiment. They are riding inside one of his fake trash beasts, which will cross the border. This way, they will discover who will die and who will survive. Upon hearing that she is inside a massive trash beast, Fantasia excitedly announces her presence and shouts that it means there will be a kaiju fight. As the entire creature begins to shake, we observe what the others are doing. Engine moves away from Fu to search for his comrades, prompting Fu to inform him that they are trapped inside a trash beast. Fu believes this information will provoke Engine to fight him, but instead, it only makes Engine more eager to destroy the creature. Meanwhile, Bundus tells Bro and Deer about their situation, preparing them for a fight. Although none of the cleaners are accustomed to battling humans, the mention of the trash monsters changes their mindset. Bro activates his instrument, which is a cloth, and wraps it around Deer, sending him flying into the wall. When Deer reaches the wall, he begins to punch it slowly. His blows are weak and seemingly ineffective at first. Bundus criticizes Bro for allowing the boy to hit the wall, thinking it's pointless. However, he soon hears a strange noise and realizes that Deer's strikes are nearly breaking the wall. That is Deer's power. Every time he strikes something, he absorbs energy from it, making himself stronger. Soon he breaks through the wall. Deer breaks a hole in the wall with his vital instrument. Bundus is impressed and finally seems ready to fight. However, the trash beast also appears to be on the move. As the giant creature prepares to take flight, Deer, Bro, and Bundus lose their footing. Several objects are hurled in their direction as they fall, and they don't know how to avoid them. Suddenly, a car crashes into the three of them. By an improbable stroke of luck, the car doesn't crush them. Instead, they fit perfectly inside it, as if preparing for a journey. Panicking, they band together to avoid other objects and find a way out. Fortunately, after more debris hits them, and Deer nearly gets thrown out of the car, they strike gold. Bro spots a metal pole and uses his headband to grab it, turning the car around. They then zoom directly into one of the pipes and finally reach safety. They land right where Engine is, while still being followed by Fu, who is crying on the floor. Bundus discovers that the boy hasn't fought yet and considers him hopeless. As the cleaners contemplate how to locate their other teammates, Semu contacts them. They explain the entire situation to her, leading to a stern reprimand. She can't believe they ended up in such a predicament without defeating the beast. Additionally, she doesn't understand why she wasn't able to contact them if they weren't underground. To add to the confusion, she finds herself unable to communicate with Rudo, Zonka, and Rio. Engine seems to have an epiphany when she mentions this, but he chooses to remain silent. Instead, he decides it's time to take action. He explains that someone he owes gave him the name Engine, which means a person who connects others. Therefore, he will act as the bridge that brings all of them together. Semiyu relaxes and expresses her trust in Engine. Meanwhile, the other cleaners and supporters are already on their way to assist his team. At the same time, Zodal attempts to persuade Rudo to switch teams. He argues that their objectives are similar, unlike those of the cleaners, who only focus on defeating trash beasts. Therefore, he believes that being with the cleaners is a waste of time. Rudo is focused solely on Fantasia, who has collapsed on a stone spike below. He glances at his gloves and reveals that he has named them 3R. To him, the cleaners are not a waste. In fact, he believes that nothing is wasted, not even his conversation with Zodal. It is because of that conversation that he realizes he has teammates who care about him, something he did not experience while he was in the sphere. Rudo releases the stone he's holding and moves towards Fantasia. This angers Zodal, who leaps at Rudo and grabs him by the neck. Just as Zodal demands to know where Rudo's teammates are, Engine breaks a hole in the ground with his umbrella and declares his presence. Bundus is uncertain about Engine's ability to find his allies. Despite his doubts, the cleaner jumps out of the pipe, full of confidence, and activates his vital instrument. As he does this, the umbrella begins to spin and opens a hole in the ground. Deer and Bro follow him, and soon they are all together with Rudo. Suddenly, Ryu appears as well, carrying Zanka. At this point, the raiders are scattered, but the cleaners are once again united. However, as they come together, the beast begins to stir. The ground shifts once again, making it easier to walk and stand. Rudo doesn't waste a moment. He shouts to everyone, pointing to where the creature's heart lies, and runs toward it. He activates his instrument, turning it into a nail gun. However, as soon as he pulls the trigger, a prosthetic hand blocks the attack. Bundus emerges from the ground, stating that he's a newbie raider and must prove himself. Everyone except Gita, who is still on the ground, attempts to attack the heart. However, he uses multiple hands to block their attacks, still leaving one hand free. Most of these instruments have been in his possession for a long time, making them high quality. To complicate matters, each instrument possesses a different power that reflects the period in his life when he acquired it. Additionally, he completely negates the cleaner's abilities by using the appropriate hand against each attacker. Even when Rudo believes he has a clear shot, one of Bundus' prosthetic fingers is tracking him. Soon, a giant hand crushes Rudo's hideout, revealing his location. Meanwhile, Chthoni is reaching out to the fallen raiders. Jabber cannot move, but he expresses his contentment. Norda rises from a pile of trash, stating she isn't finished yet. However, when Chthoni emerges from a portal to speak with Zodal, she finds herself alone. After Bundus defeats all of the cleaners, Rudo has an important realization. His 3R was passed down to him. It originally belonged to Regto, who took great care of it. Rudo has also been caring for it throughout his life, which means he can become even stronger. Suddenly, an enormous red aura radiates from him. The nail gun grows larger, transforming into what looks like a cannon, complete with an X3 symbol. This prompts Engine to realize that Rudo has used his power 3 times on this single object, rather than applying it to 3 separate items. Rudo fires a shot, successfully breaking one of Bundus' hands. The raider uses his other prosthetic to block the nail, believing he has achieved victory. However, Rudo takes another shot, shattering all of Bundus' hands. Despite the destruction, the altered trajectory of the nails prevents them from hitting the core. Rudo becomes distracted as he feels a wave of sadness at seeing Bundus' instruments break. The cleaners are preparing to strike at the core, but they can sense Zodal's anger and hesitate. Suddenly, the man calls Bundus and tells him they are leaving. Bundus gets up, and the fragments of his instrument fly to his arm, where he stores them inside the first prosthetic arm he used, which serves as the core of his vital instrument. Rudo becomes furious with the raiders for simply abandoning the mission. However, Zodal states that he has already accomplished everything he set out to do. Now the only thing left is to use the cleaners as experimental subjects. It seems that the heroes are now too late to destroy the core, as another enemy has appeared. Nord surprises them with her abilities, which appear to be even stronger than before. There's so much electricity surrounding her that part of her body is on fire. A boy watches a storm of trash swirling outside. His father reassures him, saying they have nothing to worry about because the city's walls will keep them safe. Suddenly, a machine flies directly in front of them, nearly crashing into their house. Meanwhile, Zodal departs as Nord arrives to confront the cleaners. Before stepping into Chthoni's portal, he assures Rudo that he will collect all the entries in the Watchmen series. Nord spreads her hair throughout the area, harnessing her powers at full strength. Her electricity is so intense that it immobilizes all the cleaners. However, this comes at a cost as her hair begins to burn from the exertion. Meanwhile, Fu remains alone inside the pipe, feeling useless and wishing someone would give him orders. Suddenly, he begins to hear a voice that he refers to as Master He. The voice promises to take control and help him escape. Even as her hair burns, Nord continues her attack, but she begs the trash beast to reach the border soon. She doesn't know how much longer she can endure the pain. Ryu watches and laughs, thinking that she made a mistake by not killing Norda earlier. However, someone is still moving. Rudo is dragging himself toward the core, seemingly ignoring Norda's presence. She can't believe he has the strength to do that, but she knows she can't intensify her power any further. A noise captures her attention, and both she and Engine realize that part of the ceiling is cracking right where the nail gun had struck it. Suddenly, a hole bursts open and pulls Norde out. She tries to grab onto part of the ceiling, but ultimately lets go, smiling. As she is pulled away, memories flood back of the first time she met Zodal. He had complimented her hair and given her a comb that became an essential tool for her. She seems content as she reflects on this moment and gazes at the beautiful border surrounding her. Then she sees it. An enormous creature looms on the other side of the border. Although she can't see its face, it seems to be staring directly at her. She starts shouting something about the Watchmen series, insisting that she needs to tell Zodal. Suddenly, everything darkens, and she finds herself somewhere else entirely. The cleaners are still holding on, preventing themselves from being sucked out like Nowhere did when Gita wakes up. The girl remains calm and cheerful as always, growing even more excited when she realizes it's time to use her instrument. As Gita jumps around, her body begins to grow, and she transforms into a massive kaiju. She blocks the hole with her body, allowing the other cleaners to climb up and destroy the core. After that, the trash beast starts to crumble. Everyone clings to her, as her body will cushion their landing. Rudo is the last to grab onto Gita as he retrieves Amo's shoes before joining her. As soon as they land, the other cleaners and supporters arrive almost immediately. They find Zanka and get ready to treat their other teammates. When Rudo sees Grizz, he becomes so relaxed that he lies down on the floor and calls him Big Brother. Gita explains to Tamsi how Zodal created the trash beast. Tamsi reacts when Gita mentions the Watchmen series, suggesting that he is familiar with it. The cleaners then return to their headquarters, where August tries to talk to Rudo about clothes, but Rudo doesn't pay any attention. Since Rudo isn't accustomed to visiting sick people, the only thing on his mind is what he will say to Zanka. He's bringing flowers to wish for a speedy recovery, an act that Delman appreciates. However, Rudo wonders if he might be imposing his own cultural practices on them, yet he decides to continue with the gesture. When they enter the room, they are surprised to find Zanka already awake and meditating with his vital instrument. They had expected to see him still unconscious and injured, so they quietly close the door. Engine states that Zanka has already endured a lot, and as a result, he will grow stronger. In the future, Zanka will become even more remarkable than a genius. At that moment, Semiyu calls Engine to inform him that Remlin has come to apologize to Zanka. It turns out that she didn't cast the damage reduction spell on him. Since Zanka appeared to be the most serious person present, she decided to draw something unconventional. She made it so that his arm would grow larger when Zanka struck a specific pose. Despite learning the truth, Zanka doesn't get angry. He doesn't believe Remlin owes him an apology. Instead, he finds humor in her actions. Choosing not to fight back, he relies on the protection drawing for safety, ultimately attributing his predicament to his own weaknesses. After everyone else departs, Rudo stays behind, impressed by Zanka's determination. Zanka is clearly frustrated with himself for not being as helpful as he wanted to be, but he pushes that aside. Proudly, he declares that he will get stronger, which brings a smile to Rudo's face. However, Rudo's smile sometimes comes across as mocking, so the two of them end up fighting. Later on, Engine brings Zanka some get-well gifts, and they discuss about Rudo. His new objective is to enjoy his time on the ground and seek his revenge, which lifts their spirits, including Zanka's. Meanwhile, Zodal is in discussions with the raiders. He views the situation as an experiment, so he is not perturbed by the fact that the cleaners survived. He is solely focused on his next steps. The group has prepared another trash beast, and they need to enhance it to be able to cross the border. Zodal promotes Bundus and rewards him with an item labeled Canis Schurebrek. He then assigns Bundus his first mission as a proper member, to find the creator of the chokers. Zodal suspects that they have encountered an entry from the Watchmen series, as their abilities extend throughout the entire ground. If the raiders want to collect the complete series, they will also need to locate the choker maker. While discussing his goals of reaching the sphere, it becomes evident that Nord's body is currently in an unknown location. Additionally, it appears that Hio, Zanka's rival, has found her. Rudo watches Remlin as she sits on a bench, looking sad and quiet. Just then, Zanka arrives to give him the encouragement he needs. Zanka knows that Rudo wants to learn how to extend a helping hand after his conversation with Amo. However, he needs to start somewhere, and cheering up Remlin is the perfect opportunity. Rudo confidently approaches the girl, holding a piece of paper, and asks for her help in learning to draw. She notices his nervousness and laughs, which helps him relax a bit. They soon join Deer and Gita to draw together. When Corvus sees them, he recalls that Remlin needs to decide what to paint for her city's mural, so he gives the kids a mission. They should go on a field trip to Canvas Town, As the oldest member of the group, Rudo sees himself as their protector, which makes him feel both excited and anxious. Unbeknownst to him, Engine and Bro are secretly watching over them to ensure their safety. However, Engine doesn't believe that anyone would attack them so soon. Meanwhile, Corvus is preparing for an unexpected meeting at the Cleaners HQ. When someone rings the doorbell, Samu discovers that the Hellguard has arrived. They came because they have learned about the Spherite living with the group. Engine notices that someone is foolish enough to be stalking the kids. As he keeps watch over the area, he discovers Fu, the raider, hiding in a corner. Samu realizes that Corvus sent Rudo and the kids on a field trip to keep them away when the Hellguard arrived. Meanwhile, the leader of the guards present in the area inquires about the ongoing fight against the raiders. Due to the giant trash beast falling apart, many were injured, prompting her to scold the guards. Corvus realizes that this isn't the topic they truly want to discuss. Kyuka Nijiku, the leader, then states her desire to take Rudo in. She explains that she needs to know everything she can about the Spherites, and that having the boy is essential for this purpose. Kyuka emphasizes that understanding the connection between the ground and the sphere is fundamental, and she mentions wanting to fill in the gaps known as the blank years. While the kids are in Whole City getting tattoos, they keep getting distracted. Fu observes them and reveals that his true intention isn't to attack. Rather, he wants someone to give him orders, specifically to find Engine. Master He, a doll that Fu carries, advises him to talk to the kids. When a man who is clearly a kidnapper shows up, he suggests that it's the perfect opportunity for the raider to act and make himself known. Rudo becomes furious with the man because he promised to give them candies but was clearly lying. In a fit of anger, Rudo knocks him out with a kick, frightening both Fu and He. Later, the kids head to Canvas Town, where they meet the adults who had been watching over them in secret. Remlin reveals a mural to Rudo, which is located on the ceiling at the entrance of the city. The tunnel is filled with drawings, prompting Rudo, Engine, and Remlin to lie on the ground to take a closer look at all of them. As they quietly observe the artwork, Rudo and Engine's eyes fall on a familiar drawing, the symbol on Rudo's gloves. Remlin explains that this is the logo of one of Mikasa Idol's best friends, the Undertaker, named Canis Surbreck. Astounded, Rudo reveals that his full name is Rudo Surbreck. In a post-credits scene, we find Amo locked inside a cage. When someone appears before her, she asks if it's Rudo, but the figure is someone else. The person smiling at her, who could potentially be her kidnapper, is none other than Tamsi. And that's the end of this season. If you like this video, give a like, and don't forget to like and subscribe.